Hey guys, Jeannine the Machine here with the first episode of Machine's Movie Night Reviews of the top 100 movies. But before I go any further, I just want to say please like, share, and subscribe to the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. We are trying to do some really fun things over here. My amazing co-host Morgan Robinson has got some great content coming your way. We do fun watch-alongs here every month, and I wanted to contribute a fun little series of my own. So here I am doing these movie reviews of the top 100 movies. So how this works is I got this really cool poster of the top 100 films. I'm not sure how they decided these were the top 100 films, but they all seem to be movies that have some significance in pop culture or movie history, and just movies in general I think everyone should see. Some of these movies I've seen a million times, some of these movies I've only seen once or twice, and some of these movies I haven't even seen at all. So I thought it would be a fun journey to share with you guys of me going through these movies, picking one at random, and having myself a little movie night, maybe making myself a themed cocktail if I feel so inclined, grabbing myself a little snack, having a movie night, watching this movie, and then coming here and doing a little review for you guys. So if you haven't figured it out from the description of the episode of the first Machine Movie Night Reviews, I watched Toy Story from 1995. And the drink I decided to make was a Buzz Lightyear. The description has the recipe for this drink if you want to make one for yourself when you watch Toy Story or any of the Toy Story films. Yeah, it's a pretty simple drink. You know, this movie is for kids, so you can make a virgin version if you would like, but of course I went a little spiked. I just used, you know, you can use any blue punch. I used a blue Hawaiian punch. Just add some pineapple juice, some vodka, some lime juice, a little lemon lime soda, and then garnish it with fresh pineapple and maraschino cherries. And it's a nice little tropical yummy drink with a cool green alien color. So yeah, if you want to make a Buzz Lightyear, check out the description to this video and then enjoy yourself watching Toy Story. And of course I had to go with my go-to snack, Sour Patch Kids. So had a fun time sipping on this while I watched this movie that is pretty important to movie history. This movie was the first computer animated film, and I want to say it came about because of Howard the Duck. I remember watching a Pixar documentary, and because Howard the Duck did so bad in theaters and lost George Lucas so much money, he had to sell this Pixar division of Lucasfilm, and he sold it to none other than Steve Jobs of Apple. And that's when they decided to use this technology for animation, and they started with, you know, animated shorts. Disney got involved, and that's how Pixar kind of was born, because of the failure of Howard the Duck. And then they did this first animated feature of Toy Story. And I thought this movie was great when it came out, you know, for being the first of its kind. The animation was really great. I know people tend to like do these little comparisons of how Andy looked in this movie compared to later movies, when of course the technology has advanced. I think at his birthday party, all of the kids are Andy with just different clothes and hats and things, because it was really hard for them to animate humans. Yeah, for having to create this whole feature film with computer animation took a lot of work, and just a great feat of film to create this movie, and just how everything looked to get the shine of the plastic and the you know, texture of the cloth, and how Woody moved like a rag doll, and like you could feel that, you could shake him and know how he would move, and he moved exactly like that. So just loved the attention to detail, particularly in such an early time when they were just kind of figuring out this technology. And the story is really great as well. A kid with their toys. It's just very nostalgic. I remember playing like that. I remember really feeling like my toys were alive, and they would come alive when I wasn't there. So I always wanted to like treat my toys right, because I didn't want them to, you know, be hurt or sad when I wasn't there. Like, I remember thinking like that as a kid, and, you know, tucking them in and making sure they were always covered with a blanket, or, you know, when I left the room, and they would sleep with me at night, and they'd all have names, and I'd comb their hair and just make sure they were all doing okay. And I remember loving my toys like that. So to kind of see it from the toys perspective in such an imaginative way was really fun, because, you know, I think every kid maybe kind of thinks that, you know, their toys, you know, imagine their toys to be like that. I know I did, so it was really relatable. And then to kind of see that toys perspective and have you feel all these emotions for things that aren't really alive, was such a smart, cool thing. And, you know, the idea of them like having to, you know, go back to normal once the kid comes back in, and their devotion to their person, and just seeing Andy playing and making these imaginative worlds, and you know, playing these characters with his toys and all of that. That just kind of took me back to being a little kid and doing things like that. So that's what I always love kind of looking back on when I watch this movie. And just the story in general is great. I think it actually harkens back to, I think, like toys and things in like the 50s, and, you know, how cowboys and westerns and those things were kind of phasing out for the future, and spacemen and going to space and all these futuristic innovations. So to have it be, you know, a cowboy being replaced by a spaceman is definitely a real kind of dynamic that was happening. So I liked that whole concept of it. And, you know, Woody feeling threatened. Those are kind of a lot of adult kind of feelings of being jealous and threatened. And, you know, at one point Woody like contemplates, you know, getting rid of Buzz, and then all the other toys kind of thinking he killed Buzz, and all of that kind of stuff. The comedy is great. The voice work is great. Like Tom Hanks, I think, you know, people say he's America's dad. So him as Woody, just the emotion he puts forth, and the animation, like he's very animated with his voice, and the loudness and the shouting and the care that he has, it's all in there. Buzz really thinking he's a real spaceman like makes for a lot of great comedic moments at the start. And then kind of the realization when he realizes he's just a toy and he can't fly and all of that, and him kind of sinking into this depression. I liked that they kind of covered some like kind of bigger emotions that, you know, adults could relate to in this movie. That was great. And I liked actually having the villain of the story, Sid, too, and seeing like, you know, because I think everyone knew a kid who did kind of effed up things like that to their toys, and like put them together in crazy ways, and just like blew things up and didn't really care about their toys in that way. So I thought that was a smart villain to have. And of course, you know, setting him up as the villain by giving him the shining carpet in his house. So Sid definitely makes a great villain. And I really love, too, that Eric Von Detten, he was the voice of Sid, only to come back in Toy Story 3 to be the garbage man. And, like, you know, all he really did was go, like, banging on the trash can. And that was still the same guy who voiced him in 1995. So awesome to you, Eric Von Detten, for coming back as Sid, even for the smallest part. But just the fact that this movie made you feel something for toys, it was kind of crazy. I just thought it was a really smart story that you wouldn't have thought of. And yeah, I just love all the voice actors, loved the premise, loved just feeling nostalgic for being a kid and playing with toys, and just the animation, the innovation of it, and what we've gotten from Pixar up to this point. It's really evolved and grown, and we've gotten some amazing original stories out of Pixar, starting with this movie, and particularly with animation when it's kind of just a regurgitation of a fairy tale or something we've seen before. And even just in general with movies, we don't get a lot of original stories. So to kind of kick off Pixar with something original and new and imaginative like that was really great. So I love watching Toy Story and kind of going back to that movie. And just to kind of think about its significance to movies in general and what we've gotten from Pixar since then, and the emotions of movies and the fact that they made you really care about toys like that. It does take you back to how you loved your toys like that as a kid. So great voice work, so much emotion, funny, and just great innovation in animation at the time. So yeah, had a great movie night, sipping on my cocktail and having my snacks and watching Toy Story. So yeah, you should check it out too and go back and revisit it because I think it definitely holds up, and it's a great movie to revisit and just kind of think back on how the whole Pixar empire began. So yeah, that's it guys. That's my review on Toy Story from 1995. Thank you so much for hanging with me. I hope you'll make yourself a little cocktail and just treat yourself to a movie night because it's nice to just sit back and enjoy movies. And yeah, I'm excited to get to the next movie and see what I'm watching and what I'm drinking, what I'm doing. So thanks so much for checking out this series. Thanks so much for hanging out on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. I'm really excited for what we have coming up, all things It's a Wonderful Podcast. Of course, we have our podcast feed, It's a Wonderful Podcast. You can find it all places podcasts are found. We have 3 great shows over there every Monday. We have Machine Mondays with me, Jeannine the Machine, talking all things movie trivia schmodown. Awesome movie trivia show you can find on the SEN network right here on YouTube as well. And then of course, Morgan Hasn't Seen every Wednesday, where I force my co-host Morgan Robinson to watch things he hasn't seen. We do some fun series on different themes, and we discuss each week, and he watches new movies. So I really love doing that series every Wednesday. And then, of course, on Friday, we have the main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast, where we give love to classic films. So please check it out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have you covered on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. Find it, like I said, all places podcasts can be found. You can find the show at It's a Wonderful 1 on Twitter. You can find me at Jeannine Devine _ on Twitter and Jeannine Devine on Instagram. We have a Patreon at It's a Wonderful 1 on patreon.com. We have some really fun tiers. You can vote in bonus polls. You get shout outs. We do bonus content. You get monthly artwork. We do fun Sunday live streams with our patrons. So come hang out over there and find the tier that's right for you at It's a Wonderful 1 on patreon.com. And of course, if you want to get any of my artwork or any merch for any of our shows, you can find all of that at my TeePublic shop at Jeannine Design on teepublic.com. So please, again, like, share, and subscribe to the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. We have a lot of fun things coming your way. Stay tuned for the next episode of Machine's Movie Night Reviews of the top 100 movies and see what I pick next. I'm really going to have a blast doing this series. There are a lot of movies I haven't seen, so I'm really excited to get to some of those. So we'll see what I pick coming up soon, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.